It's been a testing start to this season, and after so much positivity in the summer, it was the exact opposite of what United fans were hoping for. Now, what I want to do in this video is give my honest opinion, something I really need to say about Erik Ten Hag, about how I think INEOS are thinking, and I want to explain it all. I tried to explain it in the live show, kind of hard to do that and read the comments out, so I'm going to do it in this video. You can let me know, give me 8 minutes of your time, and then leave your reaction or your thoughts in the comments, all right? Let's get straight into it. Now, before the season started, I did this video, right, where I spoke about Erik Ten Hag and I spoke about Manchester United 2.0 under Erik Ten Hag. What do we need to see? I said this. Now, Ten Hag's first season at United was a harsh reminder that rebuilding a football giant like United is no easy task. However, by learning from his mistakes, strengthening the squad, making adjustments, both personally and tactically, he's got the opportunity to turn things around. And he does. And he still does. But Erik Ten Hag needed to turn things around. All right, we go here and we've seen that Jamie Jackson's saying that Ten Hag is at risk unless the game model impresses underwhelmed United bosses. And we know full well that it's not been the strongest start to the season. I thought, if I'm honest, I thought the game model was there against Fulham. I thought it was there in parts against Brighton, but ultimately the mentality fell out the window when the Xerxes goal was ruled out. Well, the Garnacho goal was ruled out because of Xerxes. But Gary Neville, after the Liverpool game, said something that I've been thinking about, and I actually think that Gary is spot on when he says this.
And I think he'll get a few months to be able to get used to these new players coming in, Højlund coming back, Agate coming in, and I think they'll assess it at that time. He can't be in 8th at the end of November and going into December. He's got to be up there in that top 4 or 5. He has to be.
I think Gary is spot on when he speaks about November. Now, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, right? Let me show you, right? These are Manchester United's fixtures, right, from September. We've got 14 games. I thought it was 13 on the live show. It's 14 games, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I was right, it's 13. It's 13 games up to the Leicester game on the 9th of November before the 3rd international break. I think INEOS will be looking at this period now. So 3 games from the start of the season and 13 games there. 16 games. That should be enough time for Erik Ten Hag to show us the progress that we need to see on the pitch. Because we, as a football ownership, have delivered the progress off the pitch. And the continuation of it is Sam Erith. Right? Sam Erith, we found out yesterday, he is going to be brought in to Manchester United as a new performance director. He is going to be the man who works just underneath, I suppose. Gary O'Driscoll is head of sports medicine. Again, a new name that's come in over the last year and a half. Sam Erith is going to be in charge of making sure that all the preparations are there for the match day. Clearly, INEOS feel that more is still needed. Clearly, they feel that it's not quite finished, the structure behind the scenes, and they need someone like Sam Erith, who's on a short-term contract, but maybe here until the end of the season. And on top of that, you've got separate reports from the Daily Mail. I know it's from the Daily Mail, but Samuel Bell has been quite reliable over the last couple of years. I think he's grown in stature. Anyway, saying that Man United are considering now bringing in an actual head of recruitment to work underneath Dan Ashworth and above Chris Favell. Chris Favell is head of global talent, and Dan Ashworth as the football director, making sure everybody is doing their jobs properly. He could technically be the head of recruitment, but he's not a specialist in that regard. And then on top of that, of course, Man United will be replacing the head of data science. And I now updated the full structure, and this is what we are now looking at. And there's so much change, which again is part of the reason why I think nobody should be having a conversation around sacking Ten Hag, replacing Ten Hag, blah, blah, blah. As fans, it's impossible for us to not be caught up in the game-by-game basis, the swings of it, all right? And that's why we're fans. That's also why we're not in control of what happens at our football club. Otherwise, we make impulsive decisions. INEOS will not do that. They've not been impulsive with the structure here. But with two new assistants, a new goalkeeping coach, a new set-piece coach, and now a new performance director, a new director of global talent, a new sporting director in Dan Ashworth, a new CEO in Omar Berrada, a new technical director in Jason Wilcox, and maybe a new head of recruitment that's going to be coming in at some point soon. INEOS have done absolutely everything within their power behind the scenes to give Erik Ten Hag the sort of support that he needs. Supporting a manager is not just about signing players. Oh, here's the money, great. Supporting a manager is when the manager is struggling. Who has he got to turn to inside his hierarchy to help him? That's what support is. It's like support in the work environment. If you haven't got a boss that you can lean on for advice and help, maybe in situations where you need a little bit of support, then you don't have that support network. And I absolutely firmly believe that this is correct and true. The INEOS right now are fully backing Erik Ten Hag. They're not looking at that Liverpool game and going, oh, we got humiliated by Liverpool, we're going to have to sack him 3 games in. Nor do I think, even if, look, okay, and I said this on the live show too, if Manchester United go on to lose to Southampton, Barnsley, Palace, Twente, Spurs and Villa and Porto, well, I think you know what the answer is going to be there. But that will be the answer for any football manager, really. Apart from the ones that are completely secure. But even if that was Arteta at Arsenal when he lost his next 7 games, there would be calls for his sacking and questions asked. INEOS are firmly backing Erik Ten Hag right now. But I think Gary Neville is right in the idea that looking towards November, he said the end of November, I think looking towards that international break in November, so another 13 games, that's where Berrada, Ashworth and Wilcox will be saying, do we see the progress in this game model that we have in our heads? Now, we don't know what that game model is, but I think the fact that we brought in Van Nistelrooy and we brought in Hake, it can give you a little bit of glimpses towards what you think they want. We know that United need to control games. That, for me, is the big measure. I said it in that video there that I ran through at the start. United need to control games better. Ten Hag's going to have to rotate his team much better, which again is a big test of what we're going to see in the next 13 games when the cups come in. Ten Hag can't play his first 11 every week, and there has to be developments, even in-game tactical developments from Erik Ten Hag to see that this game model works. So I think people that are... It's hard not to be reactionary as a fan sometimes because you're so invested in it, right? We love the club. We want to see United win all the pots. So when you get humiliated by Liverpool at home, and after the season that we had last season, it's hard not to be extremely disappointed in what you see. And you should be, because we were awful after those 2 individual mistakes, and then just everybody's heads were gone. INEOS are backing Ten Hag, and I think they will continue to do so. But if come the end of those 13 games that I've just explained, if come this point here, right, after we play Leicester on the 9th of November, if Manchester United are lying in 7th or 8th position, and for the last 13 games we've seen United win a game and then lose a game and then win a game and then lose a game, and ups and downs and peaks and troughs, and there's no consistent progress in a game model, I think at that point, INEOS will be considering whether Erik Ten Hag is the right man or not, and might be looking towards that international break. It's just my opinion, all right? And I'm not here saying sack Erik Ten Hag. I want nothing more than for Erik Ten Hag to come through all this adversity and nail it as a United manager, because that will build a bond with United fans. It will show massive resilience from him. And I'd love that to happen. But I'm now looking, in my mind, I'm looking up until that Leicester game as when INEOS are going to give Erik Ten Hag the chance for all these players to embed, because Ugarte hasn't started for us yet. Xerxes has only started 1 game. De Ligt has only started 1 game. Yora hasn't started because he's injured. So Mazraoui's the only one who has kind of settled in. I think he gets until November, and if there isn't true progress with that game model, I think that's when INEOS reconsider their position. Let me know what you think in the comments.